Hi, this is the HMD Skyline, one of the first installments of the HMD phones where they've chosen to drop the previous Nokia branding in favor of the HMD One. So this phone, strongly influenced by the older Nokia Lumia phones, cost roughly $500 US. So what do you get for that, and is it worth the money? Well, both yes and no, depending. Firstly, of course, the look is definitely a deal breaker, and if you don't prefer this pink, purple, whatever it can be called color, there's also a black version available. However, I do kind of like the design with the rounded corners surrounded by the more rectangular aluminum frame. You also have this little function button on the side that can be mapped to a bunch of things, which is nice. The screen is fairly large at 6.55 inches and looks great with a resolution of 1080 by 2400 pixels and a maximum refresh rate on 144 Hz for selected apps that supports it. The brightness is fine, and to be honest, I've got nothing major to complain about here. The screen and the whole size of everything just feels correct and right during use. So moving on. On the inside, the phone runs the Snapdragon 7S Gen 2, which is fine for most normal tasks and even a little gaming. The whole user experience is indeed very snappy, and the chip doesn't really seem to struggle that much with any everyday things. RAM is a decent 8GB, and the storage stops and starts at 256GB. HMD also includes a micro SD card slot to make up for that, so nice. Just like with some of their previous Nokia phones, HMD has also here partnered with well-renowned iFixit to allow for buying and replacing of parts of the phone, such as the battery and charging ports, etc. A fantastic addition, even though it's still not for everyone since it is still quite finicky. This whole thing though does however feel a little odd in combination with the fact that HMD only guarantees 2 major OS updates and 3 years of security updates for the phone. So even if you do replace, for example, the battery after 3 years, you won't be able to use the phone for much longer anyway. Well, moving on again. The 3 cameras on the back are all decent, and it's nice to see that all of them are actually of fairly good quality. The main camera with its ridiculous 108 megapixel resolution is fine and sharp. However, I would have wanted it to have a bit more punch when it comes to colors. Same goes for the 50 megapixel zoom lens that actually has a bit more oomph to the colors. The 30 megapixel wide angle lens is also decent, but does lack a little sharpness compared to the other 2 cameras. On the front, there is also a 50 megapixel selfie camera that is perfectly decent, even though it lacks that absolute sharpness. Something that is nice here though is that the camera has autofocus, something that is usually reserved for even more expensive phones. The only real thing I miss here is the ability to record video in 4K 60 FPS, something that with the Snapdragon 7S Gen 2 is just not possible. However, this does feel like a little bit of a miss, judging from the fact that the phone is indeed directed towards influencers and content creators that I'm guessing would want 60 FPS for the 4K recordings. But since I'm not really the target audience here, what do I know? Software-wise, the phone is pretty clean and easy to use. It of course runs Android 14 and a pretty untouched version of that as well, apart from the color matching backgrounds and accent colors. Battery life is fine, and the phone stays alive for about 2 days with normal use. Charging the battery is a little slow at around an hour and 30 minutes for a full charge, but it's passable. The phone though also supports 15-watt wireless charging and 5-watt reverse charging for those occasions where you, for example, want to top up your friends' phones or your headphones. There's no wall plug in the box, at least not in Europe, but a phone color matching USB-C cable. So to sum the HMD Skyline up, taking the design and color to the side for a while, it does actually hold up fair when it comes to performance, and the repairability aspect is fantastic. With the lack though of 4K 60 FPS recordings and a pretty underwhelming period of promised software and security updates, the price does though feel a little high. And if I've got any wishes regarding upcoming sequels, it would be an even better camera experience, a somewhat even more polished software, and of course better promised software updates. If HMD gets those things right, they are probably onto something here, providing that all the influencers like the design, of course. But then again, what do I know about that? Alright, those are my thoughts on the HMD Skyline. Please share any of your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Thank you for watching. Bye!